Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Johnson, the Born Alive Infants Protection Act of 2002 clarifies that infants who are born alive during abortions or attempted abortions are afforded all legal protections enjoyed by other persons in the United States. Would you support amendments to that federal Born Alive Infant Protection Act to protect infants born into these incredibly vulnerable circumstances by providing a requirement that abortion providers or their staff immediately call 911 for an emergency transfer to a hospital of an infant born alive at a clinic in those circumstances?
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm not a medical professional, and what I do know is that there are leading medical organizations that have come out in opposition to this bill. I know that there's been testimony that's been provided for the record, and I think, for me, yielding to their expertise is where I would go.
But why would you? I mean, to me, it's not a question of. I mean, if you have an infant that's born alive, I mean, we obviously had very powerful testimony. What would you lose by providing the infant treatment at that point?
We currently have laws that hold doctors to high standards of care in this country. So for me, I don't understand why we would necessarily need an additional law around this. But again, I'm here as a witness around the Hyde Amendment, and like I said, I think there's testimony around this.
Let's talk about the Hyde Amendment. Would you agree that from a policymaker's perspective, if there's something that you don't like and you tax it, you're likely to get less of it, correct?
I'm sorry, can you restate that?
If there's something that you don't like as a policymaker, cigarettes, let's say, and you tax it, you'll get less people to buy cigarettes, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay, well, so if you tax something, you get less of it. You disagree with that. I think most economists would say that's correct. If you subsidize something, you then get more of it. Do you agree with that or no?
What I agree with is that women choose abortion services, and abortion...
That's not what I asked, though. I asked that by providing taxpayers subsidies for something, you're likely to get more of that, correct?
I'm not sure. I mean, are we talking about public insurance?
I'm talking about generally. So, for example, I think your testimony after listening to it, it seems to be that you're upset that there's not public money being provided for abortions. And to me, the takeaway from that is the policy outcome that you're seeking is to increase the number of abortions that are done in the United States. Is that accurate?
No.
But why would you not get more if you're subsidizing the conduct?
Women choose abortion as a part of their health care.
But that is a different question from whether the taxpayers should subsidize it. Yes, people have the ability to choose one way or another. People have the ability to choose to do other things in other aspects of life. The question is by putting the weight of the taxpayer behind something, you will inevitably lead to increases in abortions, will you not?
Well, the American public is in support of Medicaid covering a full range of pregnancy options.
That's not the question. I didn't ask what the American public is for. I'm saying what you're arguing, I just want to tease out the implication, is that you're effectively arguing that we need to increase the amount of abortions that are conducted in the United States.
We need to increase the ability for women to make the decisions that they want to make.
Well, the ability is there. The question is how you're going to apply the taxpayers' use of tax dollars. And I think that by not answering the question, I think you have answered it, which is effectively, under your testimony, you would see more abortions in the United States. And it's a difference between whether you can get one or not. I think most people, even people on either side of the pro-life issue, there's been a general consensus in society that we'd like to reduce the number of abortions in any way that we can. So one final question, just Ms. Grasu, before my time's expired. Ms. Johnson, now, she said she wasn't here to talk about the Born Alive, but she said, you know, why would that be necessary? So I'm going to ask you, why would we need to do amendments to the Born Alive Act?
Essentially, thank you, Congressman. Essentially, there have been no prosecutions under current federal law. So the Born Alive Act, which passed in 2002, not one abortionist, not one facility has been convicted under this, although the CDC reports that there are at least 143 born alive infants after attempted abortions. So what happened to those infants? Were they given care? And so the question is, this bill, what this bill does is it requires and it creates an enforcement mechanism so that if an abortionist does not provide immediate care to a born alive infant, that abortionist is going to have to face violations and fines and criminal penalties for this. And it protects the mother, too, from any kind of criminal penalties.
Thanks. My time's expired.
I thank the